Hi, second graders, and welcome back to another day of listening and learning with Miss Catrone from Citizenship Academy. Now, as you know, we have been learning all about the things in Domain 10, which studies your amazing human body and all of the amazing things it can do. I'm going to share my screen with you to remind you about something we started learning about last week. Last week, we studied about the tiniest building blocks that make up your whole body, and those are called cells. Your human body has millions and trillions of cells that make it up. Now, a bunch of cells that do the same task or job are called tissues. So here we have a group of cells that are doing the same job, and there's a tissue. Now, a bunch of tissue that does the same job forms an organ. We're going to be studying some organs today. So here's a bunch of tissues that formed your lungs, that's an organ, or your heart, or your eyes, or your stomach. Now, today, as we focus, we're going to be learning about a system of organs that helps you break down and digest food. Now, you guys probably are very familiar with that because it's the part of the body that tells us when we're hungry, and when we eat, it breaks down that food. Now, that system happens, that process of breaking down or digesting food happens very slowly. And there are parts in the digestive system that open up so it can take in food and then close and then open up again so food can move through the body. You're going to be learning about a word today called a sphincter. And I want you to listen to find out if you can identify where the sphincter is in a body. Now, I am going to jump right in and get started as we learn all about the digestive system. Remember, our narrator of all of our stories is Nikki Nutri, and he is our nutritionist. He probably loves the digestive system because it's the part that breaks down food, and he studies the food that we need to help our body get all the nutrients it needs. So without further ado, let's get started. Boys and girls, when I look at you, I can't tell whether you are hungry or whether you have just had a meal. But one thing I do know is that everybody in this room has a digestive system, and that all of your digestive systems are working right now. There's a lot going on inside those bodies of yours. You each eat several hundred pounds of food in 1 year. It takes roughly 24 hours for food to travel through your gut or digestive tract. It's a long, complicated series of tunnels with openings at both ends. Where does this journey begin? Yes, the process or series of steps of digestion begins, do you guys know where? It begins when you put a piece of food in your mouth. So here we have a little baby, and they don't have teeth yet. This is a toothless baby. When you were born, most of your teeth are hiding under your gums. That's why babies start out with a liquid diet. A liquid diet is nutrition you can drink. Babies start out by drinking their food, which is mainly milk. But once your first set of teeth came in, you were able to eat solid foods. You are at an age right now when you are probably losing some of those teeth and getting a whole new set. I remember that Marquise lost 2 of his front teeth right before we came home to do learning online. And I think Don just recently came on office hours and showed us his missing teeth. So you guys are at the age where you're losing your teeth. If so, maybe you are finding it hard to chew certain foods. Your teeth help you break your food down into millions of tiny pieces. The longer you chew, the smaller the pieces become, and the easier it is to digest. All right, here we go. Those are the picture of some teeth. Human teeth come in different shapes and sizes, designed to eat both plants and animals. Let's take a look at the different types of teeth you have in your mouth. The flat, wedge-shaped teeth at the front of your mouth are incisors. The incisors are thicker at one end than the other. Similar to a piece of pie. So they're They're wider on one edge than they are at the other. Those help you chew food. The incisors, both top and bottom, work together like a pair of scissors to bite, slice, and cut up your food. Next to the incisors are sharp, fang-like teeth called canines or dog's teeth. These teeth tear and rip food apart the way that dogs do with a piece of meat. So we have these, the incisors that are different shapes. Then we come up here to the canines, which are kind of like fangs. Behind the canines, bicuspids help to crush the food in the back of the mouth. Wide teeth with bumpy tops, known as molars, help grind the food into mush. With your tongue, touch the teeth in your mouth. Do you notice the different shape of your teeth? Up here we have the incisors, and we have our canines, and we have the bicuspids, and back here we have the molars. You might feel with your tongue that they're all different shapes. Next time you bite into a piece of chicken, sample a piece of cheese, or chomp into an apple, see if you can tell which teeth help the most. They all have different jobs. Here we have the salivary glands, and salivary might sound like the word saliva. You may have heard that word before, which is the liquid inside your mouth. Have you ever heard someone call food mouth-watering? What do you think that means? When you smell your favorite food, perhaps spaghetti and meatballs, your mouth probably starts to water as you think about how good it will taste. That watery substance or spit is called saliva. Saliva comes from small salivary glands. Those are also organs in your cheek and under your tongue. It helps keep your mouth damp and softens food as you chew, beginning to break food down for easy digestion. Saliva serves another important job as well, helping to wash away and kill bacteria. What is another word for unwanted bacteria? You know what we might call that? Germs, yeah. So it helps kill those germs in our mouth. Did you know that every day you produce as many as 6 cups of saliva in your mouth? Can you feel it? Can you taste it? What else do you have in your mouth besides your teeth and saliva? What else is in your mouth? Maybe your tongue? What's the name of the fleshy muscle in your mouth that is covered in taste buds? Taste buds are clusters of nerve endings that tell your brain what kind of foods you're tasting. It's your tongue, of course. Not only does your tongue help you taste food, it also helps push the food around in your mouth, rolling it into a mashed up wet lump of food. Your tongue pushes the lump of food in the back of your mouth and helps you swallow. Once food is swallowed, it passes into a food canal called the esophagus. This stretchy tube is only about 10 inches long, leading from the back of your throat through your neck and chest to your stomach. Food passes through your esophagus quickly. Muscles squeeze together and push the food into the stomach in about 10 seconds or less. It's a lot like squeezing toothpaste from a tube. Here we have the middle digestive system. So this was all the upper digestive system where things start in your mouth. Next, we're going to look at the middle digestive system. Put your hand on the left side of your upper abdomen or stomach. Mine's right about here. Just below your chest and above your waist. That's where your stomach lives, behind your lower ribs. The human mixing machine is shaped a bit like the letter J. Your stomach acts like a balloon, expanding to hold the food it receives. Your stomach's gastric juices help break down the food into a paste-like substance. These digestive juices also kill any germs that may have been swallowed. Round and round, food churns for 3 or 4 hours as muscles squeeze inside the stomach walls. Once it is the substance of a thick soup, the food continues its journey into the intestines. So that's where, see kind of how it's shaped like a J, and it expands as you eat and holds that food and then churns it for 3 to 4 hours as your body breaks it down. Next, we have the lower digestive system. So we have the upper, the middle, and now we're going to find out what happens in the lower digestive system. There are two types of intestines, the small intestine and the large intestine. The intestines are tubes located in the lower abdomen through which food and food waste travel. Even though there are two kinds of intestines, the small and the large intestines, they are actually part of the same long single tube. A muscular gate or sphincter at the bottom of the stomach opens to allow food to flow from the stomach into the small intestine. The small intestine is about 21 feet long, or about as long as 5 7-year-olds lying head to toe. Even though it's longer than the large intestine, it's called the small intestine because it's much thinner than the large intestine. This narrow tube, the small intestine, is coiled up like a snake below your belly button. Muscles squeeze together to push the mashed up soupy liquid along the curly small intestine. I like all those adjectives that they use to describe. The food is mixed once more with digestive juices from the liver, pancreas, and gallbladder, other organs that are part of your digestive system. The juices, called enzymes, break the food down and make it more and more watery along the way. So you might see here, let's see how far I can zoom it in. It looks, even though it's as long as 5 7-year-olds, it's so tall, it's all wound up like a snake and coiled together. I'm going to push it back out so you can see. The small intestine, with its millions of villi or finger-like threads, is where some of the most important work of the digestive system takes place. The villi reach out and absorb or soak up usable nutrients and water passing through the bloodstream into the cells of your body. So it's almost like a sponge, and it soaks up all the nutrients and water that it needs and carries it in the bloodstream to the cells. Did you ever hear rumbling sounds coming from inside of you? Chances are they are coming from your small intestine as muscles contract or squeeze together to break down food. They are the sounds of a healthy gut. Most of the nutrients that are absorbed by the small intestines, many villi, travel to the reddish, purplish liver, one of your body's most important cleansing organs. Your lower ribs on the right side of your body protect your liver. Its function is to clean the blood, filtering or straining out any leftover waste. It turns this waste into bile, one of the juices used by the small intestine to help digest your food. The clean blood with lots of nutrients is carried to the muscles to make them stronger, to bones to make them harder, and to every other part of your body to give you energy to help you grow. Since blood goes to every part of your body, the liver performs a very important function of making sure the blood circulating in your body is clean. What an interesting job the liver has, is to clean up the blood so when it travels all around the body, we get clean, healthy blood. Here we have the appendix. The finger-shaped organ is called the appendix. We might see it right down here. Oopsie, there we go. Kind of looks like a finger. Here it is enlarged. It's almost like they looked at it under a microscope, but not quite that big. As far as anyone knows, it doesn't seem to be useful to the digestive system. From time to time, the appendix can become infected or sick and cause a disease called appendicitis. When people get appendicitis, they get a very sharp pain in the lower abdomen, in the area surrounding the intestines. The pain comes from sorry guys, I lost my spot. The pain comes from the appendix located in the lower right side of your abdomen near your hip bone. When it causes too much pain, doctors remove it. For many years, the appendix was considered a completely useless organ. Only recently have some doctors began to think that the appendix may serve to fight infections. or kill germs. If they're fighting infections, they're killing germs in your body. Alrighty, here we have the lower digestive system. The appendix is located right where the small intestine widens into the large intestine. The large intestine in this picture is colored with red so we can see it, is where the solid waste ends up. When something is solid, it's not liquid or a gas, but it keeps its shape. Even though the large intestine is much, much shorter than the small intestine, it is called the large because it is much wider. Parts of food not digested in the small intestine are squeezed out into the large intestine, where they remain for up to 2 days. Water is absorbed from the waste into the walls of the large intestine and passed into the bloodstream. The waste becomes thicker and thicker, piling up into a mass known as feces. Feces is another word for poop. Feces are stored in the rectum, the final section of the large intestine, until another muscle gate or sphincter opens up and allows the feces to pass through the anus, the body's exit point for solid waste. So we have one sphincter. Remember, I told you that's what we were listening for today, where your stomach meets your small intestine, and it opens up and lets food pass from the stomach to the small intestine. Then you have another sphincter, which is almost like a gate, and that one opens up at the end of the large intestine to help feces pass through your body and exit the body. Alrighty. So we have, in this picture, we have our esophagus, which remember the digestive system starts in the mouth, and food starts to get broken down with saliva that helps break it down. Your tongue will help push it, and your teeth will help chew it and break it down into smaller pieces. Then it is pushed through this tube called the esophagus, and it'll go into the stomach. Remember, the stomach is the J-shaped one. And from there, it goes into the small intestine, and then it goes into the large intestine, where there's a sphincter that opens up and any waste can exit the body. We also learned about the liver and all the bile. Here we have, that's what this picture is of. The liver, which remember helps clean the blood. That is the end of your food's journey, from mouth to esophagus, to stomach, to small intestine, to large intestine, to anus. The digestive system's organs are working all the time, day and night, to process food into substances that your body can use, providing you with the nutrients and energy that you need. All right, guys, that is the end of our listening and learning story today, all about the digestive system and the amazing journey that your food takes from the second you put it into your mouth all the way until it exits your body as waste, which we know is called poop. We didn't really read about that. All right, guys, as you know, I'm going to put a Google form with some questions for you to answer at the end of this story. I'll go over those before we end our video, but for now, let's jump right into our vocabulary, and then I'll go back and we'll go over our Google form. So here we have our word for today is the word absorb. My turn, I'm going to say absorb. Your turn. Good job. In the read aloud, you heard this sentence. The villi reach out and absorb usable nutrients and water, passing them through the bloodstream into the cells of your body. Absorb means to soak up a substance. So if I have a sponge and I dip it in water, it absorbs the water, or it soaks it up and takes it in. The paper towel will absorb the spilled water. If I spill water and then I put a paper towel over it, it soaks up the water that I spilled. Think about an absorbent material, something that will absorb or soak up something easily. Use the word absorb in a sentence. So we've talked about paper towels that can absorb things. We've talked about sponges. What else can you think of that can absorb something? I'll put that as a question in your Google form that you can answer at the end of the video. Alrighty, so let's think about these things. Do trees and rainwater, do you think that trees soak up rainwater? I think they do, absolutely. Their roots that are planted deep in the ground will soak up that rainwater to carry it through the tree and provide water for the whole tree. All right, food and saliva. Food and saliva, let's think. Yeah, we talked about how when the food goes in your mouth, it absorbs the saliva and it breaks it down. All right, do diapers absorb anything? Hmm. Diapers can absorb urine, or another word for that we use is pee, and they'll soak up and absorb the urine. Let's see. How about towels and bath water? Towels absorb the bath water. Yeah, if I get out of the shower and I drip bath water onto the floor, then a towel can absorb or soak that up. How about nutrients and villi? We talked about how the villi were those finger-like threads in the small intestine, and they absorb or soak up the nutrients. Alrighty, guys, what word have we been working on today? Absorb. Good job. Alrighty, I'm gonna be right back to show you all about your Google form for today. I just have to change my screen. So I'm gonna pause, and I'm going to be right back to, if I can figure out how to pause it, there we go. I'm gonna be right back to show you your Google form for today. Alrighty guys, so I have your Google form for today pulled up, and I'm going to read the questions and the options to you so you can know what to do when this video is over and get started. So the title of our quiz is the Digestive System, and the directions say this. Listen to the read aloud for Domain 10, Lesson 5, that's this one, and then complete the quiz. That's what you'll do next. Alright, the first part I need you to do is write your name in the slot. Then the first question is this. What is the name of the long, stretchy tube that carries food from your throat to your stomach? What is that long, stretchy tube that carries food from your throat to your stomach? We have esophagus, stomach, saliva, or a large intestine. Now let's see if I can show you that. This is what I'm talking about, that large, stretchy tube that carries food from your throat to your stomach. What is the name of that? Is it the esophagus, the stomach, the saliva, or the large intestine? Question number 2 says this. What is the liquid called inside your mouth to help you break down food? What is that liquid called? Is it called stomach? Is it called large intestine? Is it called small intestine? Or is it called saliva? You're going to choose what answer you think is correct. Question 3 says this. You learned that there we go, see, even teachers make mistakes, that the liver cleans blood. Why is it important to have clean blood? You're going to tell me what you think. Why do you think it's important to have clean blood? You're going to tell me, you're going to write your answer there. Question 4 asks you this. What is our vocabulary word for today? What is our vocabulary word for today? I gave you choices. It's stomach, tongue, teeth, or absorb. What do we say our word work was for today that we learned? Lastly, what is something that you know of that can absorb? We talked about a couple materials. We talked about how a sponge can absorb or soak up water. We talked about how the villi that are the finger-like threads can absorb nutrients. We talked about if you spill something, a paper towel can absorb. So you're going to tell me one thing that you know that can absorb. All right, once you're done with that, you hit send and I get your answers, and then I can give you credit for today's lesson. Now remember, this week is a little bit differently because we've kind of shortened the amount of lessons that you get. So I expect awesome answers from everybody. Alrighty guys, that is our lesson today about the amazing digestive system and the journey that your food takes from starting in your mouth all the way to when it leaves your body as waste. I hope you've learned a lot and you can think about it next time you have a snack. All right, I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. I can't wait to see your quizzes and all the hard work you're doing. But for now, goodbye, guys. Have a great day.